There is a film that exists not in the clamor of action, but in the profound quiet between words. From Russia with Lev is less a story told than a mood remembered, a cinematic ghost haunting the edges of 1980s cinema. Directed by the reclusive Anatoly Veshnyakov, the film arrived in 1987 with little fanfare, a co-production between a struggling Soviet studio and an independent French financier. Its very existence was precarious. Filmed over 3 grueling years on a budget that forced ingenuity into every frame, the lead, the enigmatic Lev, was played by Mikhail Durov, a stage actor making his only film appearance before returning permanently to the theater. Production was a study in scarcity. Cinematographer Irina Sokolova, working with reclaimed World War II-era film stock and often natural light, developed the film's signature desaturated, grainy palette not as an aesthetic choice, but a necessity. This constraint birthed its visual poetry. The soundscape, largely devoid of score, leans on ambient noise, the sigh of wind through empty apartments, the distant echo of a train, recorded on location in what was then Leningrad and the outskirts of Paris. The narrative is deceptively simple. Lev, a Soviet émigré, navigates the bewildering anonymity of Paris while being psychologically tethered to the Leningrad he left behind. But Veshnyakov subverts the immigrant tale. This is not about assimilation or conflict. It is about the persistence of internal geography. Lev's past isn't a flashback. It is a layer superimposed on his present, visible only to him, and through the film's language to us. The central theme is the architecture of memory. Lev's Parisian life is composed of spaces that refuse to become places. His small apartment, a corridor-like room, mirrors the communal hallway of his Leningrad building. Veshnyakov frames these spaces with a static, observational camera, turning rooms into dioramas of isolation. The memory isn't a narrative device. It's an environmental condition, as palpable as the cold seeping through a window. This is mirrored in the film's deliberate pacing. Scenes linger on Lev performing mundane tasks, peeling an apple, staring at a wall. These aren't pauses in the plot. They are the plot. They are moments where his internal world, the weight of dislocation, presses against the mundane reality of his new life. Durov's performance is a masterpiece of minimalism, his face a landscape where subtle shifts in gaze convey tectonic emotional shifts. Veshnyakov employs a powerful visual motif, reflections and windows. Lev is constantly seen through glass, his image ghosted over the cityscape behind him. He is both here and not here. In one poignant sequence, he stands before a bakery window in Paris, but his reflection seems to hold the silhouette of a Leningrad bread queue. The film suggests memory is not a stored image, but a refractive lens, bending the present into shapes of the past. The film also engages with the theme of linguistic dislocation. Lev speaks French functionally but haltingly. The most emotionally charged moments occur in silence, or in his native Russian, spoken only to himself or in letters he never sends. Language here is a territory. His fractured French represents the new land he cannot fully occupy, while his Russian is the haunted homeland he can no longer return to. A key, often overlooked relationship is not with a person, but with a book, a worn copy of Pushkin's poetry. It is his sole physical artifact from home. The film doesn't show him reading it for solace. Instead, he uses it as a paperweight, a ruler, an object integrated into the practicalities of his new life. This is the film's insight. The artifacts of our past don't always function as sacred relics. Sometimes they are just tools for getting through the day, even as they anchor us to another world. The supporting characters are not foils but satellites. His French neighbor, Madame Clément, exists in a parallel state of loneliness, yet their interactions are bridges that never quite meet. They share space, tea, silence, but not understanding. Their relationship underscores that Lev's alienation is not solely cultural. It is existential, amplified by his circumstance, but rooted in the human condition of being ultimately unknowable to another. Sokolova's cinematography achieves a profound intimacy through distance. She favors medium and wide shots, placing Lev within his environments, making his smallness and solitude a tangible element of the frame. The color grading, all muted grays, faded blues, and weak yellows, erodes the distinction between Paris and Leningrad. Both are rendered in the same palette of memory, suggesting that for Lev, the entire world has been translated into a remembered hue. The film's climax is characteristically quiet. Lev receives news of a death back home. There is no outburst. He simply walks to the Seine and watches the water. The camera holds on his back for a full minute. The sound of the river mixes with a faint, distorted melody, perhaps a remembered song, perhaps just the wind. It is the moment his internal exile becomes complete. The last thread connecting him to a living past is severed, and he is fully, quietly adrift in the present. The conclusion offers no resolution. Lev is seen at his job in a print shop, carefully setting type. He is making something tangible, letter by letter. It is an act of small, meticulous creation. The final shot is of his hands, then his eyes, looking not at the type but through the window beside him. There is no epiphany, only continuation. From Russia with Lev endures not for its plot, but for its profound atmospheric truth. It is a map of an interior landscape, charting the silent country of loss that exists within displacement. Veshnikov was less interested in what happens to Lev than in where Lev times is, psychologically, emotionally, spatially. In an era of cinema often defined by excess, this film is a monument to restraint. Every absence of score, of dramatic confrontation, of vibrant color is a deliberate presence. It asks us to watch not for event, but for essence, to perceive the story happening in the slight tremor of a hand, the quality of light on a floor, the heavy space between two people in a room. Ultimately, the film is a meditation on the self as a palimpsest. Lev's identity is a document written over, the old text faintly visible beneath the new. From Russia with Lev doesn't provide answers about home or belonging. Instead, it masterfully, hauntingly frames the question, allowing it to hang in the air long after the final quiet fade to gray. Thank you for watching until the end. We pour our passion into every single video essay, exploring the stories behind the movies we all love. If you stumbled upon this video by chance, there is a very high probability you might never see our channel again in your feed. So please, take a moment to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and ring the bell. We are actively growing this community of cinema lovers, and your support is what helps us make our content better and more insightful every single day. Let's explore the magic of filmmaking together. See you in the next one,